LucasArts at one time was known for things other than Star Wars games, like point-and-click adventures, but around the turn of the century the prequels were coming out, and they went all in on Star Wars. They were making so much Star Wars that they had to start contracting Star Wars out to other studios, and you know what that means, handing off their IPs to some low-bid contract with a fly-by-night dev that's gonna make a trashy game. That's how it usually goes. But no, something else happened. The contract went to a real studio, one that had proven itself capable of handling licensed games, with one adaptation of a magazine, and then something a little more on-brand, a Star Trek game. The contract went to the incomparable Raven Software. They'd moved from the wobbly limitations of the Quake 2 engine to the bespoke, ultra-sleek Quake 3 engine. I mean, just look at those curves. IP licensing doesn't usually go well, unless you give it to Raven at the height of their power, a company so ludicrously talented that they made a good Star Trek game and a great Star Wars game in the span of 3 years. And Raven had to convince LucasArts to make it a game with Jedi stuff. See, at the end of Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight 1 Mysteries of the Sith, a thing I don't really want to play, but one that I will summarize here, Kyle Katarn, who became the leading cause of stormtrooper deaths once the rebels stopped blowing up Death Stars, almost fell to the dark side, but was turned back by his Padawan, former Imperial assassin and future wife of Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade. Kyle decided to swear off Force use entirely, which leads into this game where he has no Jedi powers whatsoever. Yeah, it's called Jedi Knight 2 and not Dark Forces 3. I don't really know why, but I'm still gonna make jokes about it. I'm sorry if I'm shortchanging Mara Jade, as I know she's very prominent in the extended universe, but I'd like to play a Star Wars game I actually like. And nothing on this earth reminds me of when Star Wars was good like Jedi Knight 2. I'm actually playing this game slightly modded for convenience because while it will run out of the box on Windows 10, I like to have a better field of view and some other enhancements we'll talk about later. Purely cosmetic ones, as we're talking about a Raven game that encourages melee combat and still comes with a complete arsenal of fun sci-fi murder sticks. While I do miss the cheesy live-action cutscenes, Kyle's sharp polygonal beard looks almost as dangerous as it actually is. Jan Ors, Kyle's longtime partner, accompanies him on a mission to discover what the Imperial Remnant is up to.
The Valley of the Jedi?
Reborn?
They're not there yet, but it is a factor. The Valley of the Jedi is a shortcut to getting good with the Force, so it will feature prominently in this game. Right as it starts, this feels different. Jan is on the ground with you, helping out. Like Dark Forces and Jedi Knight, you will have a Stormtrooper rifle soon. Very soon. For this section of the game, headshots are very important. Unless they're crouching, then forget it. Doming a stormtrooper with a laser blast to the head felt new in this game simply because the technology to do it wasn't quite there when the first Jedi Knight game hit. Here though, well, Raven fell back on their ghoul system from Soldier of Fortune, minus the spectacularly bloody effects that game was known for. This is a bit tamer. Jedi Knight 2 is rated T for teen, but don't let that fool you. We kill so many people. So many stormtroopers. The first major section of this game is infiltrating this base and shooting Imperial foot soldiers. It's all very familiar, as they're the same types you've been shooting since Dark Forces, although this time they have a fresh coat of paint and, more importantly, much more sophisticated AI. Okay, bad example. They are faster, they aim better than any stormtrooper you've ever seen, and they try very hard to avoid laser blasts. This first section is one of the hardest in the game because the stormtroopers have gotten some weapons training. Their rifles are still comically inaccurate. Being so used to bullets, it is a little harder to adjust to moving targets and leading your shots. There's lots of pew-pewing and missing your target, which is frustrating. However, in the middle of these battles, as countless lasers zoom by, it feels right. It feels like those old Star Wars battles where they would fill the screen with lasers, and only sometimes did any of them actually hit someone. For anyone who is asking for a return to the simpler gameplay of the original Dark Forces, the first act of Jedi Knight 2 gives you more of it than you ever could have asked for. This first level, aside from the better graphics, would feel right at home as a Dark Forces mission. You have to run around, shoot an absolutely staggering number of stormtroopers, solve some simple puzzles, and roam the decently non-linear level. Sure, you could run straight into the fray with Jan, but you could also go under the elevator here and blow up this thing. I don't remember what this does aside from almost kill you, but I love it. While it is mostly the same kind of movement as previous games, though less jank because id Tech, I'm sorry, you know that's true. Except the lean. Disgusting. This is all very Dark Forces, just prettier. As pretty as I've seen a pure Quake 3 engine game look, with the Star Wars aesthetics implemented perfectly. Jan, who's never a hindrance, gets pinned down and we have to go help her, flanking the stormtroopers closing in. One of them dies like this, a wonderful and absurd pre-ragdoll effect. Deeper into the base now, Jan is returned to the ship and you continue shooting stormtroopers at a rate that, at this point, was probably a little excessive. The level design is reminiscent of Dark Forces and a little of Jedi Knight, but it's tighter, more streamlined, with fun little distractions like this training room filled with ineffectual turrets and useful items. You circle through this area several times, and if you hit the right switches, you're rewarded for it every time. The game sets up all of its non-combat fun in these levels too. Piloting droids to get past obstacles. This droid gives us our best glimpse yet at the enhanced Quake 3 graphics technology that has significantly caked up Kell Katarn. I'd let him force choke me. Katie, I know you're probably not going to cut that, but I am begging you to cut that. I will give you 15 cigarettes to cut that. If you don't believe me, the Remnant is spying on him and just...
Katarn, eh? This setback could prove to be the answer to all our problems.
I am not zooming in on Kyle's ass. The cutscene is doing that. This is Admiral Fyar. He will be our non-force-powered antagonist for this game, and the fact that he doesn't piss himself at the mere mention of the name Kell Katarn shows that he is a very stupid man. From what we can gather, the Imperial Remnant is experimenting with special crystals. What's really shocking is seeing Coruscant in the background. We're finally playing a post-prequel Star Wars game, but here's Mon Martha. Mon Martha? Mon Martha? Mom Mothra? Who's been giving us these missions.
Our scientists believe that they were trying to artificially infuse the powers of the Force into living subjects. Those crystals you're holding are very much like those found in a Jedi's lightsaber.
Fast! But that's impossible, isn't it? You can't just give people the Force with a machine, right?
If only I had something to point to that proved that the magic of Star Wars can't be recaptured with some artless mechanical process that...
Everything we know about the Force tells us that such devices are nothing but the fevered dreams of fools and madmen, Jan. But try telling that to those poor beings you found in that laboratory.
These crystals lead us to a mining colony on Artus Prime where there's a bowcaster right at the start, thank God.
Get behind him!
Your stormtrooper culling is occasionally interrupted by the kind of light puzzle solving that you'd expect in Dark Forces, as well as the side areas full of annoying alien creatures that are surprisingly resistant to laser blasts. No worries though, you got infrared. I don't think any of these things hit me during this playthrough, and that's my proudest accomplishment of this game. Fuck those things. There is some kind of Imperial detention center inside this mine, and the most stormtroopers I've ever seen outside of an open battlefield.
Get up. You're gonna help me release some prisoners.
This whole time I've been killing these guys and stealing their keys, but I'm supposed to keep my crosshair on this one so he helps open all the cells? And you can hold him up with a thermal detonator too, any weapon works.
You won't get away with this, rebel scum.
Excuse me, Mr. Space Nazi, but technically you guys are the rebels now. But don't worry, you'll always be scum to me.
I think I already have.
Alright, you can have a couple of nibbles, but I need this guy alive for some reason.
Enough of this charade.
Hey, come back here, god damn it! We didn't need him alive for anything. The New Republic sends some ships to help rescue all the prisoners, and a fairly large-scale battle is started outside the mine. And instead of the game telling you to move your ass, it encourages you to do so by throwing an AT-ST at you. In this game, and probably in others, your normal weapons do nothing to it. Explosives do, but you're not carrying the really big guns yet. So you have to get to a turret, protect the prisoners, and destroy the defenses to let the ships in. It feels bigger and more important than it is. It could be the most difficult part of the game. It's just gonna make Kyle mad, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to piss off Kyle Katarn. Just don't do it. Do not, under any circumstances, threaten someone Kyle cares about.
Prisoner for you, Master Desann.
Oh no.
Well done, Tavion. Secure her in the cargo hold and prepare her for processing.
Wait, is this guy...
Kyle? Kyle Katarn? You're the legendary hero who destroyed Jarek at the Valley of the Jedi? You look like nothing more than a bantha herder.
Okay, don't be throwing around insults about how other people look. You look like you're about to open your mouth to let me start NES Jurassic Park. You look like Barney with vitiligo.
Well, you look like an overgrown Kowakian monkey lizard, so I guess looks don't count for much. Hand her over.
Yes, Kyle with the assist. Roast his ass like the fallout from a meteor hitting the Yucatan. Oh. Shit.
You desire this woman? Come, take her.
Ah, Sith spit.
Yeah, about that. Jedi Knight 2 shows you just how bad you're gonna lose a fight against a Force user if you've only got conventional weapons. You'd think, yeah, he'll deflect my lasers, right? So let's try a thermal detonator, blow him up.
Too easy.
No, awful idea. Do not, under any circumstances, send explosives towards them because they'll send them right back. I sent a bowcaster shot his way and he's behind cover and he sends it right back into my face. This is embarrassing. Kyle's losing to Desann like he's a common Nar Shaddaa pit.
You're pathetic, Katarn. As a Jedi, you might have proven a worthy adversary. But without the power of the Force, you're not worth the effort it would take to strike you down. Perhaps your woman will prove to be of heartier stock.
Ew.
On second thought, Tavion, kill her.
Jen!
Oh! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! You have fucked up now! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up! Now you fucked up!
The Empire has, in the past, made many bad decisions. Now, Desann thinks he's being clever, and he kinda is. Like, the first few steps of this plan are great for him. Kyle is so pissed that he killed Jan.
The death of Katarn's woman has driven him mad and delivered the Valley of the Jedi into our hands.
However, he made Kyle so angry that his next stop is the Valley of the Jedi to get his mojo back. Desann follows him so that he can find the Valley of the Jedi and use it to make new Dark Jedi easily instead of doing that dumb shit with all the crystals that wasn't working. Cool plan, you'll be pumping out Dark Force users like iPhones, just one small problem. Kyle Katarn now has Force powers again, despite protests from his dumb ghost dad. This would be a perfect plan if you'd killed him before he got his powers back. Now? Imagine if John Wick shot lightning from his fucking fingers. As soon as he jumped into that force beam, you might as well have spaced yourself, cause it's over, it's done. After getting back his powers from performance-enhancing ancient shrines, he gives zero fucks. His next stop is to get his lightsaber back. From the Jedi Temple on Yavin 4, where he casually just shit-talks Jedi in front of Luke Skywalker.
Why can't you Jedi ever do things the simple way?
If the ways of the Jedi were easy, there'd be millions of us instead of dozens. Take Desann, for example. He was born on a planet unused to the wonders of the Force, where his seemingly magical abilities caused him to be feared and shunned by those around him. His childhood was one of loneliness and despair until a visiting trader discovered him, recognized the Force within him, and brought him to the Jedi Academy.
Oh, okay, so this is your fault. You never could follow through with the bad ones, Luke.
Over time, however, things changed. He became cold, severe. He belittled his fellow students for what he perceived to be their weaknesses. During a training session, he struck down and killed a fellow student in cold blood.
I mean, isn't everything he does in cold blood? Because he's, like a lizard or whatever?
He fled before we could counsel him.
Don't fuck with the Jedi Master, son.
Luke makes you jump through some hoops to get your lightsaber back from the ruined temple. You have to relearn a few of your force powers, push, pull, and speed. Oh, and force jump, but that one activates automatically. You gotta bind a key to the others unless you want to be shuffling through the inventory of them on top of your other inventory. It's a good tutorial that gives you a sense of how long your force powers last and how much juice they take from your force pool. So you speed towards a lowering cage and force pull your lightsaber out. As soon as the game switches to third person, I feel a rush of excitement. I didn't feel it the first time I played because I didn't know what was coming. They only teach you the lightsaber throw here, and while that is my favorite thing to do, I love it, it tickles my brain just right, the average player is not prepared for how hard this game's lightsaber combat goes. They've tracked Desann's ship to a gangster named Relo Baruch, who is on Nar Shaddaa, a city that is and will always be a giant pain in the ass. Katarn walks into a bar.
Sure, no problem.
They don't take his lightsaber. They don't take his lightsaber.
Bartender. Bartender.
Ah, Jedis. I had no ideas. What can I do for you, Honored Jedis?
I'm no Jedi. I'm just a guy with a lightsaber and a few questions. What do you know about Relo Baruch?
A respected waste disposal managers.
There wasn't a more obvious code word for mobster?
Do you know where I can find Baruch?
Trulies.
Trulies.
Okay.
Never trust a bartender with bad grammar.
What follows is like if that scene in A New Hope where Obi-Wan slices that alien's arm off ended with Obi-Wan slicing through the entire Mos Eisley cantina. As soon as that bartender closes the door, it is bedlam. Lasers and thermal detonators coming from every direction, overwhelming the first time you play it. But you have to remember that this level, as much of a pain in the ass as it can be, is designed around force powers as well as lightsaber combat. And it's the best lightsaber combat you've ever fucking seen, and you haven't even unlocked the light and heavy styles. The enemies are in a hopeless situation even if dealing with a new player. There's plenty of stuff here that you could do in the first Jedi Knight game, but it feels better here. More polished, more fluid. Jumping, flipping, landing, your lightsaber constantly being a danger to the enemy even when you're not swinging. Those bastard Grands and their thermal detonators that have been busting your balls for 2 games become a lot easier to kill when the design and physics cooperate. Not 2 levels ago, I was this guy right here, getting my own explosives tossed back into my face. Jump on them, knock them down, cut their heads off. Jedi Knight 2 had a more robust dismemberment system before they shipped it, but they wanted a T-rated game. But remember how I said I'd added a couple mods? Well, this is the big one. Full dismemberment. You're welcome. Why not do a flip, return a thermal detonator to send or jump away again and toss your lightsaber through 2 of them? Jedi Knight 1 had lightsaber combat, but Jedi Knight 2 has the best lightsaber combat. The character animations and the meticulous design of the hitboxes and the ghoul system, the way the saber sparks and cuts anything it comes into contact with, including walls. You may not think it's the best lightsaber combat in any Star Wars game, although I think it is, but I could easily argue that it is the foundation by which all good lightsaber combat was built. And then the rest of the level is you getting sniped with disruptor beams. I mean, yeah, you can use your currently weak force push to throw people off ledges, but not when they're that far away. This is more of a force speed problem. All of these enemies are more dangerous than stormtroopers and have better weaponry, and you still can't hit a motherfucker in the head when he's crouching, and that's really annoying. I absolutely hated this level for the longest time because it wasn't all lightsaber slashing. And the snipers, obviously, and the bottomless pits, all things that are common to Nar Shaddaa and why I hate going there in every game. But my god, to bear witness to a licensed game that made you feel like a true goddamn Jedi Knight without the jank that held down the previous and, to be fair, impressive early 3D efforts. Remember how I said that Raven had to convince LucasArts to make a Jedi game and not just a regular shooter? Well, they did it by showing LucasArts what would become this lightsaber combat. If you ever need to show someone why Raven deserves better than the COD mines, look up this level. So many of the people responsible for this are still at Raven working on COD. That's like finding out your favorite porn star is working at Hooters. Now that we have fun Jedi powers, they level up between each section. Like here, Force Jump is now level 2. You don't control how things level up like in Jedi Academy, so that kinda sucks. Also, unlike in the other Jedi Knight games, there's no special ending if you're evil. We've infiltrated Relo Baruch's waste disposal facility, the most Dark Forces style level yet. It's got cargo areas that are bottomless pits, massive garbage crushers I speed through even though I probably don't have to. Our mission isn't complicated. Find gangster, question gangster, avoid dozens of snipers inside. They put snipers inside behind cover, as if Relo Baruch isn't a complete idiot and is actually trying to stop you. He handles the trash for that bar, so he's likely been sifting through pieces of his employees wondering why the bouncers let you keep a lightsaber. So I'm wandering through this level because I don't think I'll ever memorize the layout, truly a Dark Forces level, until I come upon another cell block.
Katarn?
Lando, what are you doing here?
I am not stupid Star Wars naming Lando Calrissian. Not a chance. That's Billy D. Williams, too. Video games in the early 2000s weren't going to score a Harrison Ford cameo, or even a Mark Hamill one. But Billy D seems happy to do it. And Lando knows Kyle Katarn already, because Kyle Katarn is fucking awesome. It turns out that some smugglers set up shop in Cloud City, and he's investigating it himself.
I came down here to find Relo and persuade him to hand over the names of his employer.
Persuade?
Hey, I can be a charming guy when I want to.
Yeah, checks out.
After a few bar fights and card games, I hadn't gotten any closer to Relo, but I had begun to hear about a remnant bigwig named Desann. Then I was captured.
Want me to get you out of here?
If it's not too much trouble. You'll need the password to get into Relo's command center and open the cells.
Any idea what that might be?
Yeah, it's Ruby Bleel's.
The internet tells me that a Ruby Bleel is a drink, not a person, but I don't care. We leave Lando to use that password and find Relo.
What's a respectable gangster like you doing mixed up with a remnant slime like Desann?
There's money, right?
Making money, of course.
Uh-huh. Wow, I can't believe someone would work with weird fascists for money. That's crazy. He isn't that stupid because he runs away. It turns out that more turrets and armed goons won't stop you. You meet up with Lando again and...
I ran into Relo.
Did he tell you anything about the smuggling ring?
We didn't talk much.
I see. Listen, we'd better get out of here. My ship's hidden nearby. What about yours?
Relo's thugs have probably already stripped it for parts by now.
What about Jan?
Jan's not with me on this one.
You two have had another one of your fights, haven't you?
Lando, no, she is totally 100% dead. I'm telling you, I almost saw it with my own eyes.
Ah, there's my baby.
We've got to deactivate a tractor beam and refuel Lando's ship, the Lady Luck, which you realize as soon as you're inside that you should never ever run a blacklight over any of the surfaces and just not think about it. It is a luxury yacht. This ship has drawn more tail than a furry artist. Thankfully it has a turret and we can ice Relo unceremoniously. Lando flies us back towards Cloud City, talking about how now he's going to have a strike team deal with those remnant smugglers and...
No!
I thought you'd be happy to...
They'll tip off Desann.
Then we'll catch him later. Getting Desann isn't as important as clearing the city.
Jan's dead, Lando. Desann and his minion killed her.
Kyle's force abilities are still rusty, okay? He doesn't know.
Greif, I'm sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, whatever Greif means, I'm sure it's comforting. Lando drops us off on the outskirts of Cloud City, where we have to do some weird platforming to ascend. Yes, that's very Dark Forces, very LucasArts-style level design. Despite sharing no level designers with the previous games, Raven seemed to understand and care about a kind of continuity between games and their design, which is nice, even if it sometimes results in some awkwardness. Oh, right, my bad. That's a really pretty skybox. We've unlocked our Jedi mind trick power, which is useful for getting unwilling guards to open doors and to momentarily confuse enemies, though I find that they're awfully confused when their heads roll off. So you're ascending these huge recreations of those tunnels from Empire Strikes Back, and they look great, of course. It's Raven, it's id Tech. Just as you're getting sick of fighting the same 3 aliens over and over.
I sense a disturbance in the Force, but there's something strange about it.
You will die!
Oh yeah, now we're talking real goddamn lightsaber fights, and they're not just for boss battles in this game. You get common enemies, the Reborn, that you get to battle against. This one is obviously going to be one of the easier ones, right? Well, not so much. The limited space you have makes things a little tough. But then you finish him off in a slow-motion camera pan and... Oh, it's beautiful. The sounds and effects for lightsabers smacking against each other are absolutely perfect. Just swinging your sword at them isn't going to help. You need to find openings to hit them, and that's easier once you get the hang of it. I like this level aside from having to make sure an R5 unit makes it through a gauntlet where it'll roll right into laser trip mines. Kyle's just too sad that it died. It also had some codes that would give us access, but you know, this is dumb and a pain, but it was 2002 and every game needed one of these. The Force Stealth section later is way worse. Back to the real fun, schooling these posers. I like to jump around and try to land attacks on the way down. It seems to throw off the AI a little bit.
The Force betrays you.
Having to return to dodging Rodian snipers through the city and fighting alongside security staff feels less exciting than the lightsaber fights, and I don't even hate the gunplay in this game. It's just that after the few small tastes of power, the game hears me. I'm not surprised when this happens. I am so very happy. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Do you fear me? Force betrayed.
Saber throws don't work that often, but when they do, it feels real nice. I didn't get to mention it, but the Imperial repeater has become the heavy repeater, which is, ooh, you won't see it much, but it also, like most of the weapons in this game, fucks. This is about when stormtroopers start showing up again, and with the memory of their sheer numbers and enhanced brutality still fresh in my head, having a lightsaber to deal with them is as cathartic as this game gets.
Stormtroopers.
You might think I'm not taking full advantage of my force powers, but I promise the deep pits of Cloud City are littered with fresh corpses. Now, the Reborn come in different flavors. They all carry lightsabers and have basically the same attacks, however some are more susceptible to cheese. Observe. And the lower tier Dark Jedi, not Sith, I'm told. They're not supposed to be called Sith, I don't know why. The lower tier Dark Jedi can be easily cheesed, but as soon as you get to Tavion, you realize that your shitty little tricks aren't going to be enough.
You still don't know, do you? Desann followed you to the Valley of the Jedi. Even now, hundreds of Desann's loyal followers are drinking deeply from the Valley's power, becoming reborn in the glory of the Force. And we owe it all to you.
Then you killed Jan?
That's right. We killed your woman to make you angry. Angry enough to cast aside your promises and rashly seek out the power of the Valley.
Yeah, Kyle, you kind of boned this one, but in your defense, you're going to clean it up real good.
Stop talking!
Kyle's channeling Shatner with that one. He's pissed, but Tavion doesn't go down easy. Yeah, see, she's sophisticated. You gotta keep your distance and be patient to land strikes. Keep your back to tanks handy, or force heal if you want to heal slowly and badly. Kyle is having none of her shit.
Don't! Mercy!
The kind of mercy you show Jan?
She lives! I can tell you where she is!
Liar! I saw her die!
Kyle!
Jan!
Think. What did you really see? What did you really hear? Do you believe we'd risk killing one of the only two people who knew the location of the Valley of the Jedi?
She makes a lot of sense, and she's hot, and I'm a little concerned about how easily she's able to talk while someone is choking her, but Kyle, man, I know you're a little rusty with the Force, but couldn't you sense Jan still being alive? Is that more or less difficult than shooting lightning from your hands? Tavion tells us we can find her if we take that ship over there to Fyar's ship, the Doomgiver.
Why should I believe you?
Because I'm not brave enough to die!
Yeah, okay, that checks out. We won't kill her, you know, even though we've been killing Reborn like a womp rat infestation. Desann would probably kill her, or maybe she'll change her ways and start wearing half of a white outfit instead. We get onto the ship and start cutting down Imperials like training dummies, right? Until...
Skywalker? What are you doing here?
They didn't have to pay Mark Hamill, so they can have as much Luke in this game as they want, but Bob Bergen, the voice actor playing him, did Luke in a bunch of Star Wars games, and also Porky Pig just as many times.
With the Valley of the Jedi's power coursing through those crystals, Desann has succeeded in infusing his troops with the power of the Force.
Oh, Sith spit. I think I ran into one of them on Bespin. Are they still in the Valley?
Not anymore. I managed to scatter Desann and his reborn troops, and Rogue Squadron chased away their ships. For now, the Valley's effectively sealed off.
Oh, that's... good job. I thought I'd have to take care of that. We're still in the Luke has his shit together era of Star Wars.
But we have no idea how many troops Desann managed to empower before we got there.
Not enough. In what must have blown people's minds in 2002, you get to battle alongside Luke Skywalker. He's still kind of a Boy Scout, so I do all the killing.
Something's changed in you. You seem less... angry.
Maybe. There's a chance Jan may still be alive on the Doomgiver.
Yeah, also, Luke, why don't you know that? Aren't you the most powerful Jedi alive? Can't a Force Ghost tell you? Wait a minute, couldn't have Kyle's dad's Force Ghost told him? They would absolutely know if Jan was dead. No, I can't explain why, but you all know they could. Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Listen, Skywalker, there's even more to this than you think. Desann's working with a remnant scientist named Gallic Fyar. They're smuggling something called cortosis here from Bespin.
Damn. That's not good.
Why?
Well, cortosis is a rare mineral that resists lightsabers.
We should get some of that, right? Should we not have that stuff? It might help some people, like literally everyone.
If you run into Desann, don't try to take him on alone.
That's Luke and Desann.
Desann drops a bridge on him. He's okay though, but you won't be fighting alongside him for the rest of the game. That's fine, a little is enough. The first time I played this, I figured he'd only be in cutscenes. These sections of the game also heavily lean on platforming and puzzles between battles while still arming you to the teeth and making you feel like the worst thing to happen to the Empire since Palpatine died. You're gonna be bullying stormtroopers a lot, at one point spacing entire hangars full of them. It's even easier now that you've unlocked the light-style saber moves, which are quicker but less deadly strikes. Well, less deadly to Reborn, exactly as deadly to Stormtroopers.
Too short for a Stormtrooper?
I feel like we get a ton of new abilities and weapons in this section too. I guess we could Force Choke in Lightning before, but the Force Choke levels up at some point because by the end of this whole Doomgiver section, Force speed works on the lower Reborn too, since they won't just activate force speed themselves to match. We haven't completely forgotten about heavy weaponry. We get a rocket launcher, which is useful sometimes, and the destructive electromagnetic pulse gun, which gives you a much better chance against AT-STs. These bigger guns appear about the same time as giant droids that shrug off laser blasts. Here's the Fletchet weapon, which is... it's kind of a flat cannon, let's be honest. And of course the missiles, which I did not ever try to fire at a Jedi, and this is why. Force Push, one of your more leveled up abilities, becomes extremely useful when the game throws its strongest stormtrooper assaults at you. This is the section where it's gonna happen, leading up to and including the Doom Giver. Like, I don't even know what to do with some of this footage, it's insane. They do throw tougher opponents at you too. I mean, rocket troopers and larger droids can easily kill you if you stand still and don't fire. But then you got the shadow troopers who are... not nearly as exploitable as your common Reborn. They're fast, tough, they cloak. That only works sometimes. These are the toughest enemies in the game. The toughest single fight for me is inside of this tiny command center where you see an officer and I'm like, I want that guy's supply key, but then...
surprise, motherfucker!
As for non-combat, these few levels are stuffed with set pieces. Spinning killer machines, electrified floors, speeding through the reactor core to not get shot by lasers. There's always something to break up the already amazing gameplay. And sometimes it's bad, because there's a goddamn Force stealth section, which was the style at the yeah, and you can't let someone set off the alarm for reinforcements, even suggesting at this stage of the game that there's a number of stormtroopers that Kell Katarn can't easily defeat is a joke.
I'm like a god in human clothing! Lightning bolts shoot from my fingertips!
Alas, it was 2002 and Force stealth sections were mandatory. So we have one. It's pointless and stupid like they all are. Thankfully, then we get to the Doom Giver. Jan is here, and not dead.
I thought you were dead.
Dead? No. In pain? Yes. Desann and his thugs must have burned out half a dozen interrogation droids trying to get me to crack.
They wanted to know about the Valley of the Jedi, right?
For the first few hours. Then they dropped the subject and started asking me about the layout of the Jedi Academy.
Oh, no.
What?
I think Desann's invading the Jedi Academy. We've got to destroy the Doomgiver's shields before he can deploy his troops.
Fyar, though, he's not a smart man, and he decides to fight Kell Katarn, although I am impressed by his moonwalk.
Ah, Captain Katarn. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you face to face.
The pleasure's all yours, I'm sure.
The Oz woman thinks quite highly of you. Did you know that? She must have whimpered your name on at least 17 different occasions over the last few days.
Is that supposed to make me angry? I'm past that, Gallic.
Yeah, stupid idea anyway. Making Kell Katarn angry screwed this whole plan up in the first place. Existing in the same universe as Kell Katarn doomed this plan.
Then what if I tell you that even as we speak, Desann is descending on the Jedi Academy with...
Yeah, I know, shut up. You don't even belong here, you fucking stooge. This is the big leagues, okay? You got lightsaber-resistant armor and a shield? Let's see how that goes. And then the gravity fails and we have a really awkward zero-G section where your movement isn't what you'd think. It's not like 6 Degrees of Freedom. It's like someone took Ziggurat Vertigo and painted Star Wars over it. It isn't great. Once we escape, we get a neat little space battle cutscene because Raven seemed interested in incorporating every Star Wars thing they could possibly cram into this game, tastefully. Kyle and Jan crash land on Yavin 4. That's right, we're back.
I'm going after Desann. He's probably heading for the heart of the Academy. You coming?
I think I'd be more useful in the air. I'll go to the hangar and join the New Republic troops.
Okay. Try to avoid anyone with a lightsaber.
Good advice, Jedi.
I like her. I'm glad she's not dead. But Jedi, they have this whole thing about not taking wives. It was a real problem back in the day. Oh, that's right, I forgot we're dealing with Kyle Katarn, who would tell the Jedi Council to suck a bantha tit. Get in the comments to tell me that banthas don't have tits. What I love about this scene is not that Kyle and Jan kiss, it's that the designers knew that 2 dead-eyed Quake 3 models with their faces pressed together would look fucking awful, so they carefully position the camera to obscure their faces. But also...
Nice fucking model!
Now that we're a mile away from the Jedi Academy, we have to make it the rest of the way on foot through the swamps. I can't believe they didn't put a sewer level in this one, that's weird. Anyway, swamps with swamp troopers and muck that makes you turn off your lightsaber. They will die from ricochets off your lightsaber, because they're stupid. Somehow, Raven thought to have the raindrops spark off of the lightsaber. I don't have anything to really add to this, I just think that's cool. These swamps are the hardest thing to navigate in the game. Where you're supposed to go could be a tiny crack in the wall. It's not fun, and maybe Raven knew that, so they give you an ATST section. Why not? It's a little funky to control because it feels like a giant mechanical chicken. I think that's intentional. Once you get into the Jedi Academy, it's time to school some Dark Jedi, and Master Katarn came in hungover and pissed off. Desann may be the final boss of this game, but he's not the hardest thing. You have to force push some buttons to activate a beam that makes you invincible for a little while so you can strike him, otherwise he'll just kill you. It's a test of your abilities to run away. Lame, 7.5 out of 10. I wanted to force kick his teeth into his brains. I mean, yeah, you can do the whole running thing. Or... However, right before you face Desann, the real test happens, and that's this 4v1 fight right here. 2 Shadow Troopers and 2 Reborn in this courtyard. At least now we have access to heavy lightsaber strikes, perfect for Force tourists who think they have power. I had to try this a few times, because you can just walk away. I actually found a walkthrough that tells you to run past them. Not today. Class is in motherfucking session. Desann makes you go through some temple traps before the actual fight and goes down easy. Like I said, if you don't get close to him, you don't have much to worry about.
You should have known it would take a failed Jedi to take out another failed Jedi.
Kyle, you were never a failure.
Luke,
I know. I'll be happy to hold your lightsaber for safekeeping.
No, I think I'll keep it.
Ha! I knew it! Lando owes me 5 credits.
Are you sure this is what you want, Kyle?
Look, I'm not saying I'm ready to join the academy or anything like that. I mean, before I do anything, I figure that Jan and I have earned a long vacation on the beaches of Spyra. And after that, well...
After that, we'll see.
Yeah.
Take your time, Kyle. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Thanks, and may the Force be with you, Luke.
Oh, that's special. Their hands never meet or grip. They're doing a Force handshake. And thus ends the playable adventures of Kell motherfucking Katarn, the baddest man to ever wield a lightsaber. The unkillable plague upon stormtroopers would go on to teach at the Jedi Academy and become the Jedi's battle master in some of the non-canon extended universe novels. Because of course he did. Who else would you possibly pick? Some reading suggests that Kell Katarn was killed by Kylo Ren, which is fucking nonsense. Get that out of here. Kylo Ren wouldn't shave a hair from Kell Katarn's beard before he got bitch-slapped and bisected. And Kell Katarn's the only one I'd ever believe if he said,
"If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine."
I spit on your canon, Disney. Your products will never sully the holy name of Katarn. Blessed be Katarn, and blessed be Raven Software, his final shepherds into the halls of legend.